Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as you might expect during periods of peace. This gave KOTT news crews an opportunity to assist in multiple defeats of the Marquis of Terror. Chucking the old pumpkin heads back at him, some tosses more in the zone than others. Once acquired, adding the Ichor into the Witch's Cauldron will dissolve the demon's connection to Eternum. With the tokens I acquired, the only difficult decision remaining was what to buy. Traveling to the deserts of Brimstone Sands last night, the bazaar seemed vibrant and full of life. The Ebonscale Tourism Council may need to step up their game if the Brimstone Association of Tourism and Hospitality continue to innovate like this. Visitors to the bathhouse should know that seating is technically limited, though only the largest scheduled events reach capacity. To arrange a private event for your next retreat from the corruption, please contact the Brimstone Association of Tourism and Hospitality. Turning to the weather, and the sun returns in force today, twice as big as normal and barely moving along. But look out after nightfall, as corruption invasion forces, sensing the fear growing across the island, strike at 30% of coastal regions. Only one submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it is cardboard. Tonight, the Marauders of DBA assail the Spice Lords of Order of Chaos for control of First Light and the flow of the spice. DBA forces strike at First Light for the second time this week, perhaps perceiving an opportunity to overcome slight imperfections in their previous assault. But Order of Chaos stand ready to defend the spice production facility in order to ensure a successful cover cropping for next spring's spice yield. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as the Spice Lords of Order of Chaos fend off the Marauders and maintained the hyssop-rich region of First Light. KOTT news crews were on the scene after the fight and spoke with company leadership. Got time to say a couple words?
Yeah, for sure. You know, we needed to protect the spice from attackers that were coming in to, ruffle our feathers. And yeah, we came out. I want to say thank you to HBM, Tropical Reps, and Bums for their help. And it was a really good war. We fought to the bitter end. Greens came out and performed, and we just performed a little bit better, and hopefully we can do it again.
Well, sounds like you had a blast out there tonight. Is there anybody whose performance you might want to highlight?
Yeah, TV host, awesome shot calling along with Synergy. Came up with a war plan, and we had Jay on repairs. We got several doors back up after they dropped. So yeah, it was a blast. It was give and take, and both sides almost did the best that they could.
And what going forward is in the cards for Order of Chaos in the Hamlet of First Light?
Well, we have the Halloween house competition that we're still going forward with that, as long as we're able to continue to hold First Light. There will be payouts for first, second, and third place, and everyone is welcome to participate.
Last night, after simulated combat, KOTT news crews spent the time assisting a local scholar in their research of the Great Acropolis in southern Brimstone. After helping them defeat corrupted legionnaires from long ago, we were left with more questions than answers. KOTT News will bring you more on this story as it develops. Turning to the weather, and it looks like the sun feels like zigzagging through the sky today, mixing things up a little in the afternoon. Because after sunset is when all the action happens on the island, as magnetic confluences give rise to corrupted invasion forces. 2 submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, The Covenant forces of Here Be Monsters assault the vault of Trinhard Esports for control of the financial capital of Windsward. Here Be Monsters continue to spread the word of the spark, influencing local citizens with promises of an abundance of gold discovered in their holy land to the north. Trinhard Esports are on the record as being willing to sell the region for the right price. But if the promise of gold is false, get ready for a fight. In the nightcap, the Marauders of Camelot Dodgers attack the Covenant forces of Here Be Monsters for control of the medicinal hot springs of Ebonscale. Camelot Dodgers strike back at the Inquisition, seeking to disrupt the new Covenant supply lines running through Ebonscale from the recently revealed desert. But the forces of Here Be Monsters consider Brimstone the outpost to their central hub here in Ebonscale, so the majority of their forces are standing ready to defend the hamlet. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Here Be Monsters split two, taking Windsward early, but falling in Ebonscale in the final moments of the war. We spoke with the Camelot Dodgers and asked if they thought fatigue was a factor. Congratulations on your victory out there tonight. You got A and B early, Charlie a little bit later at about the halfway point. And then, with a mere 5 minutes left, I believe there was on the clock, you managed to push in on the breach and get that flag in one fell swoop. Congratulations. How do you feel it went out there?
It went really well. It went according to plan. You know, we were trying to just control fight outside of fort and make it easy, just trickle in people as we could. And, you know, we got the job done. We coordinated ults really well. And, you know, all props to our shot caller, Huang, who is the governor of PvP Dodgers and Camelot Dodgers. He is the GOAT, and, you know, we love him.
Excellent. Is there anybody else whose efforts out there you might want to highlight?
HBM, bro, they are hard to fight, and every time it is a toss-up, dude. You know, they are so stacked, they are so tough, and I got nothing but respect for them. I might do a little bit of trolling here and there, but all in all, dude, it's all love for them.
Excellent. Sounds fair. Well, now that you have control of the resort destination of Ebonscale, what are your plans for the hamlet?
I want to get some e-girls in here, bro. Straight up, dude. I think that New World's lacking some gamer girls, bro, and I need some in my life.
Here Be Monsters representatives expressed mixed emotions before retiring for the evening, but they'll be back after resting up. Turning to the weather, and once again the sun will fly across the Eternum sky, keeping corruption at bay. But look out after sunset as corruption forces rise up through 40% of the island, including the newly revealed Brimstone Sands. No submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by Peace, but we'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as you might expect after a night of peace. KOTT news crews took the opportunity to continue assisting efforts in the desert by assaulting Crassus's Rise. The path through the keep was difficult as we put down more corrupted legionnaires and burned all their supplies. KOTT News will bring you more of the ongoing story in Brimstone Sands as it develops. Turning to the weather, and the sun will dip in from the northwest today before slowly circling the tip of the island. Then look out after sunset as the forces of the corrupted get emboldened and strike at 30% of the island. 2 roster submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Marauders of Nothing Personal assault the Covenant forces of Rawr for control of the bear-infested deep forests of Brightwood. The newcomers of Nothing Personal abandon their personhood and leave all their belongings behind. They'll have to become like animals if they're going to succeed in the woods. because the forces of Rawr have become almost entirely bear-like, as their connection to the great spirit of the forest empowers them for their devotion. In the nightcap, the Covenant forces of Order of Chaos assail the Syndicate forces of Cutlass Keys Fan Club for control of the secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. Order of Chaos seek to expand the Covenant Empire across the southern edge of the island in order to completely dominate the southern spice trade routes. Cutlass Keys Fan Club stand at the precipice of history, holding the line in the final Syndicate-controlled region on the map. But will all that training in the mosh pit pay off? We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of Rawr channel the strength of the bear and defend the deep forests of Brightwood. And in Cutlass Keys, the forces of Cutlass Keys Fan Club hold the line and retain control of the secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. KOTT News crews caught up with Syndicate leadership celebrating in the hot tub. Congratulations on your victory out here in Cutlass Keys tonight, holding the line in the name of the Syndicate yet again. Would you care to take us through how it went out there?
Yeah, we had them in the first round. They tried to push on a B, but then they tried to split push. We held, they got a point, but we won in the end. Chased around some stat padders for a little while and got the victory.
Nothing wrong with a little stat padding at the end of the quarter, right? Is there anybody whose efforts out there you might want to highlight?
Yeah, everybody from the fan club down here at Cutlass Keys Fan Club. I want to thank Birdie for shot calling. I want to thank all the people from outside the company that came out and helped. I want to thank my team. We had a lot of fun running back and forth between A and B and fighting out in the woods and trying to catch people on rotations. Jeff, Serene, Sekra, and Brickett, you guys all did great. But yeah, it was a real team effort. So everybody who came out today.
Now that you've resecured the keys, is there any intention to expand the Syndicate Empire?
Yeah, we're not settled with just this hot tub time machine. We want to go out and get another one out there in Weaver's Fen. So we're looking at you, CV4. You better watch your back and keep your eyes peeled, because we're going to get them.
Turning to the weather, and today looks like a long day of sunshine well into the later afternoon again. But once more after sunset, as the temperatures drop, the corrupted invasion forces will arise through 30% of the island. Only one lineup submitted for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Marauders of Jolly Rogers assail the Covenant forces of Beach Bums for control of the always uncontrollable Restless Shores. The newcomers of Jolly Rogers slog out into the mud to create some more anarchy in the archipelago, making their move to capture a piece of land on the island. But the Beach Bums have been out playing in the waves all week. Wrestling in the mud-covered beaches of Restless Shore is what they're all about. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of Beach Bums bounced the Marauders of Jolly Rogers and retain control of the Restless Shores. KOTT News crews were on the scene in Restless Shores immediately after the fight and were able to identify a large contingent of Covenant mercenaries supporting their factional brethren in the name of the Spark and a little payout. Beach Bums leadership were able to stop and speak with KOTT after their official duties were complete. Congratulations on your victory here in Restless Shore. Looked like it was going away to me. How would you say it went out there?
I think we did pretty well. All our players had a good time. We just bounced from points to points. It was really just about good vibes and having fun that war.
Well, was there anybody who stood out tonight in your eyes?
Everybody did amazing. I I'd like to thank all our healers and everybody, our deck squad in particular. They popped off.
Is there anything going on out here in Restless Shore over the next couple weeks you might want to let people of Eternum know about?
Yes, we will be having the oddball town buffs up. So if you ever want cooking or any random town boards, just let me know. I'll put it on and you guys can come craft.
With no late-night fights last night, KOTT news crews were able to investigate some of the more scenic vistas of the newly revealed deserts of Brimstone Sands. Along the way, we were able to assist regional person of interest, Imhotep, in their efforts to investigate the imbalance of the desert. We'll bring you more on that story as it develops. Turning to the weather, and once again the sun will rise and fall along the horizon, keeping the afternoon pleasant and breezy. But you know how things turn out after the sun dips, as the magnetic confluences of the island give rise to a 20% chance of invasion. 3 roster submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Up first, the Covenant forces of Tropical X assail the Marauders of Camelot Dodgers for control of the medicinal hot springs and resort destination of Ebonscale. Tropical X forces returning to the battlefield after taking a month off to experience the other aspects of Eternum, but they've stayed involved and may be stronger than ever. Camelot Dodgers make their first defense of the Bamboo Forest Preserves since acquiring it 4 days ago, but they'll do everything they can to maintain this thoroughfare to the newly discovered desert. Then, the Marauders of Highwind Dragoons attack the Covenant forces of Here Be Monsters for control of the high desert region of Brimstone Sands. Highwind Dragoons return to the deserts of Brimstone and make a second attempt to dislodge the Covenant forces of Here Be Monsters from what they lawfully purchased. Here Be Monsters forces will be dividing their attention tonight, fighting on 2 very important fronts. But will that distraction cause them to lose focus? Meanwhile, the Marauders of Nirvana assault the vault of the Covenant forces of Here Be Monsters for control of the financial capital of Windsward. Nirvana forces return to the Central Corridor to begin their trek to conquer the island yet again, seeking to secure the funding necessary to continue in their ambitions. Plundering the various crypts of the desert, Here Be Monsters have been using the central bank for laundering of the funds generated. But can they hold both regions tonight? We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the divided forces of Here Be Monsters yield the Central Corridor region of Windsward. KOTT news crews were on the scene in the hamlet and spoke to a marauding participant of the war. Congratulations on your victory out there tonight. How do you feel it went?
Hey, thank you, man. You know, ever since Trent took everything from us, Nirvana has been fighting every single day, grinding. But you know what? One day we had to return. And guess what today was? We took our home of Windsward back. We're back! We're back!
Returning to our coverage of the ongoing story of the Marquis of Terror manifesting across the island, local citizens are reminded to fear not, for that only helps it grow stronger. Turning to the weather, and it's looking like the sun will swing low through the clouds today, making things hot throughout the afternoon. But look out after sunset as a southern hurricane will break land, causing a 30% increase in corruption invasions. 3 more lineups submitted for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it is cardboard. Kicking things off, the Marauders of CB4 assault the Covenant forces of the Playhouse for control of the rainfall-rich region of Morningdale. Gusto and the boys returned to action after being on the run since their war crime was captured on film last week, but now they're looking for someplace new to hide out. The theatrical performers of the Playhouse have been dealing with the recent manifestations of Balfazoo, but that kind of training should be enough to hold off some rappers. Later, the syndicate forces of Cutlass Key's fan club assail the marauders of CB4 for control of the primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fen. The syndicate forces of Cutlass Key's fan club slog into the peat moss bog of the Fen, and they're here to serve a warrant for the arrest of CB4 leadership. Will CB4 stand their ground here, or will they abandon this venue, prioritizing their quest to hold a concert in every region of the island? In the nightcap, the marauders of 400,000 GA Dodgers attack the Covenant forces of Here Be Monsters for crowning kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. The newcomers of 400,000 GA Dodgers field 50 of their finest 400,000, but that's enough to surround the bluff and prepare for a fight. Here Be Monster forces regroup and consolidate their forces after last night's outcome, but that's renewed their resolve to stand ready for a long siege. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.